14 things we wish we knew before traveling to China. Let's check out this video.
Mike and I have been traveling across China for the last 2 months, and there's a couple of things we wish we knew. So here's our list of 14 things we wish we knew before traveling to China in 2025.
14 things. How do they always come up with these numbers? Before I had a video where there were 17 things, now it's 14 things. Let's see what it is. Oh, Forbidden City, Great Wall, Pandas, where I live, Chengdu, Sichuan, also Beijing, Shanghai now.
I think a lot of people still think of China as a developing country. I know for me personally, I was very surprised at how developed the cities are, and I think that's because, unfortunately, the media misrepresents China in a negative light.
Yep, especially like if I look at German newspapers or so, there's like no one good thing about China. And also when my friends or my family, they came here, they thought like, wow, really, you have like big shopping malls here and stuff like this? They really still thought China would be a very backwater country or like very not developed.
I thought the country would be a lot more like Vietnam in terms of small villages and rural landscapes. Whenever we tell our friends and family back home what we're experiencing in China, they always seem shocked and surprised. I think a lot of us coming from the West still envision China from the 80s, and the reality is it's just not like that anymore. This was a huge thing that took us by surprise when we first visited, and it's something that I think a lot of Westerners might also not realize.
Yeah, especially, I mean, the cities are really super modern, right? But the countryside, sometimes it's not that modern, the Western countryside. Like in Germany, for example, the countryside, I think, is often more modern, but the cities are just really amazing and super modern.
Honestly, the cities in China were probably some of the most modern cities we have ever experienced. So we knew China was a large country, but we didn't know that it was actually larger than the United States by landmass. We also couldn't comprehend how truly massive the cities themselves would be. They were so spread out, and they ranged from millions to tens of millions of people in some of the larger ones. Before we started traveling, we were living...
My city where I'm living now is Chengdu. Most people don't even know this city, but it has close to 20 million people living here.
In a town of 1,000 yearly residents in Alaska, and you could imagine what a shock it was to show up to somewhere like Beijing or Shanghai with well over 20 million people. This made each city almost feel like a new country in its own way. For instance, Shanghai feels very modern and very chic and upmarket. Beijing feels a little bit more traditional and down to earth. And then you got cities like Guangzhou that almost felt like Southeast Asia. And this was all a stark contrast to the cities in the western
Chengdu, that's my city.
part of the country like Chengdu and Chongqing.
This makes sense when you consider how spread apart the cities are. The food, the culture, the architecture, everything shifts as you travel hundreds of miles in mere hours on the high-speed train, which is something that always blew our minds.
True, very diverse, and you can get around with a high-speed train very quickly.
Getting around China is super easy and affordable, and that's because there are a ton of buses, high-speed trains, and sleeper trains to get around the country. The high-speed trains are the most expensive and efficient option, but they do have 3 classes of trains that you can take if you're on a budget and still in a hurry. If you're on a backpacker budget and don't have a strict timeline, buses and sleeper trains are definitely the way to go. They are more cost-effective, however, they do take a much longer time.
Sleeper train, I don't know when's the last time. Oh, sleeper train, yeah. Don't know when's the last time I took a sleeper train.
The plus side of taking a sleeper train is you do save money on accommodation, but for us, it's not worth the rough night of sleep to save a little bit of money, so we always opted for the high-speed trains.
We've done our fair share of sleeper transportation before.
Yeah. Like I said before, there are 3 classes for the high-speed train. There is second class, first class, and business class. The thing that is different in China is first class is actually worse than business class, whereas in the States, it's the opposite, typically. We rode every class of train and found that second class was the best for saving money, whereas business class is the best if you can splurge for it. Of course.
Yeah, I think if you come here, you can check out one time to have the more expensive class, but yeah, normally the second class is okay.
First class didn't have enough amenities to justify the cost, so we would skip that next time. I will say, the cost of the trains initially surprised us, but when you consider how far you're going and the amount of time that you're saving by not having to check a flight and go through security and all of this stuff, I do think that it is worth the cost. The important thing to remember is that despite China's size, it is a very easy country to travel in.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to go hundreds of kilometers in just mere hours, and you don't have to deal with the hassle of baggage claim or checking in or anything like that. We booked all of our train journeys and accommodations for this entire trip in China using Trip.com. It's a site.
Yeah, Trip.com is the best for sure. Yeah, back to the high-speed trains. For example, I think the distance between Beijing and Shanghai is about 1,500 kilometers, and it only takes you about 5 hours. So It's quite fast.
We had never used before, but honestly, we can't say enough good things about it. We'll leave a link to it in the description down below so you can check it out when you're booking your travel plans in China. Speaking of booking things, in China, you're gonna need your passport a lot. It's not really a big deal for us because we've been traveling for the past 3 years and we're kind of used to carrying them around. But something you might not expect from other countries is when you're traveling in China, how often you'll actually use your passport. You'll need your passport to buy SIM cards, to book tickets, to get into some attractions, even to check into your hotels. Places like the train station, the Great Wall of China, the Forbidden City in Beijing, all use your passport instead of a physical ticket. So,
Yeah, basically, where do you need your passport? Booking train tickets, booking hotels, of course, buying SIM cards, and then checking out tourist attractions. You always need your passport, your physical passport. They say that you should carry your passport around all the time, but actually I'm living here in China for a long time now, and I just have a screenshot on my phone. I never had any problems with that.
it's just something to keep in mind. You don't just need it when you're booking, you actually need it to enter the grounds or the train station.
We think you should always carry your passport with you when traveling, since it's actually legal not to in a lot of countries. So just bring your passport with you, especially in China, and you're gonna save yourself a lot of headaches.
But you don't need it when you, for example, you check into your hotel, then you want to go out or so. You don't need to carry your passport around.
Out of every country that we've been to, I think it's safe to say that China speaks the least amount of English. Sometimes communication can be a little bit difficult in China if you don't speak Mandarin and if the locals don't speak English. However, I will say that the younger crowd is definitely very comfortable using the translators. While the older generation isn't quite as comfortable using the translators, they were still very friendly and willing to help us out whenever we needed anything. So
sure,
don't
they're
worry about
trying
the
usually.
communication barrier too much. Getting around in public transportation is super easy because every sign will have at least an English translation for you, so you're not going to get
Yeah.
lost taking the bus, the subway, the high-speed train, anything like that. I think a lot of the times for us personally, the most difficult and frustrating moments we had in China was when we were hangry and we were at a restaurant that didn't have pictures and we
Oh.
weren't able to translate the menu because Apple Translate wasn't working properly or
That's
something.
quite tough.
Yeah, one of the things to be aware of is Google Translate doesn't work in China, and Apple Translate works pretty well sometimes. And like Ashley said, that can be frustrating when you are just so hungry and you don't know where to go, and you find a place and they've got just a menu, and there's no English, no pictures, you have no idea what you're ordering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think get the Baidu translator. I think that's quite good.
And trust us, you do not want to be
Baidu.
hangry and not
Baidu is the
not
Chinese
able to
Google.
translate the menu. It's no fun for anyone.
The good news is if you're feeling stuck and having trouble translating things, just ask for help. Usually the restaurant and shop owners are so friendly and so willing to help. And honestly, we didn't have one thing that wasn't good in China. So kind of just trust your gut and follow your nose.
Wow, they were lucky. I mean, there are a lot of small shops where you have quite delicious food, but then it's not very clean, right? So beware of that.
Speaking of Google Translate, Google Maps also doesn't work in China.
No.
Apple Maps does a really good job of getting you where you need to be
Apple Maps
if you
is
know
okay,
where you're
it's
going.
good.
But it doesn't work really well like a search engine. So if you're used to pulling up Google Maps and being like restaurants near me, Apple Maps isn't really going to take care of you. China does have an app called Dianping that does a really good job of finding
Yeah.
restaurants, shops, bars, nightlife, all kinds of things. However, it's all in Chinese, so you're going to have to do a lot of screenshotting and translating in Apple Translate and hope that Apple Translate's translations are really good.
Yeah, right here everybody uses 大众点评 that shows you all the good restaurants and other good places in the city.
It sounds like a lot more of a headache than it actually is, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Like other
Traffic
countries we
pattern.
visited in Asia, such as Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, they all drive on the right-hand side, same as China, same as the United States.
Yeah.
This was pretty normal for us coming from the States, but the one thing that I do want to mention is that if you are from a country that drives on the left-hand side, be really careful when crossing the street. They have a ton of electric vehicles in China, I think more than anywhere we've ever been.
That's true. I remember when my mother came here, like she almost got hit every day by a e-vehicle or by a scooter because you don't hear them, right? And they come from the right side and also from the left side. And then also, if you cross the street, don't expect cars to stop, right? Usually they won't stop.
And so you'll have a full-sized, fully loaded electric bus
Yeah.
creep up behind you. And if you don't look the right way, there's a chance that you might get squished.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear this guy coming.
So just be really careful, look both ways when crossing the road, especially if you come from a country that drives on the left-hand side, because China does not.
So when we were planning our trip to China, we weren't really sure if we were going to go to all these big tourist attractions because we just, I don't know, sometimes they feel like they might be overhyped. That's not the case. The Great Wall of China is hands down one of the biggest tourist attractions in the entire country and is one of the best things we've done in all of our travel. While we took the budget option by taking buses to the Mutianyu section of the Great Wall, there's all kinds of experiences on Trip.com if you're looking to splurge and want more of a seamless experience. When you're there, definitely pay the extra for the cable car up and the toboggan ride down. I feel like they made that experience just all the more memorable.
That looks fun. Also, remember that in China they have this tourist attraction rating system. So they have 5 A's, which is the best tourist attraction. So the Great Wall should be a 5A tourist attraction. Then they have 4A and 3A. So 3A is the least popular tourist attraction.
Just like the Great Wall of China, there are a ton of major tourist attractions that are all worth seeing. We unfortunately didn't get to see quite as many as we'd like to due to the weather being so cold and just underestimating how massive the cities were.
Our advice would be to pick 1 to 2 destinations that you know you have to visit, like the Great Wall, and just try to remember that your first trip to China is likely not going to be your last trip to China.
True story.
Cash is
trash.
kind of irrelevant in China, and that is definitely not something that we were expecting. You'll use Alipay and WeChat for basically everything, and I can actually only think of maybe 2 experiences where our WeChat and our Alipay wouldn't work, and that was simply because the vendor was usually a small street vendor and they didn't have international card acceptance set up. So grab some cash out of the ATM, just a little bit to get by, but don't expect to have to use it more than...
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea, just to have emergency cash with you, but usually really everywhere you can use Alipay and WeChat. I always think Alipay is a little bit more useful because it connects with also many programs, but yeah, if you have one of those 2, should be enough. Better have both.
like a handful of times.
Yeah, we took out 1,000 RMB when we first arrived in China and ran into the issue Ashley was talking about, and I think when we left China we had 750 RMB
870
still. Also, don't worry about your phone dying. That was a big concern of mine. But all over China, they have these charging bank power stations.
Yeah, they will not let you. They will not let your phone die, because if you can use your phone, you can pay everywhere. It's very good for the economy. So everywhere there are these power stations like this in the picture, and you can use your Alipay to get one of these power banks. It costs 3 yuan per hour to rent one.
Where you just scan a QR code with your Alipay or WeChat, pop out a little like portable charging bank, and then return it at any location around the city, because they're everywhere.
Yeah, that was like one of the coolest things we saw. We actually have a portable charger, so we didn't need them.
Yeah.
But like, I've never seen that in any other country that we've been to, and that would have been so helpful.
Yeah, every like hotel lobby, Lawson's, gas stations,
everywhere, yeah.
Little aunties' shops of everything they sold. There was multiple little chargers, and you just scan it, pull one out.
Yep.
It's honestly so smart.
I guess it makes sense. Like in a country that you have to have your phone to pay for everything, you want to make sure that you have phone chargers. But
it's good for consumption.
They got you.
They did it.
Another quick tip is to just make sure you set up Alipay and WeChat before you arrive in China. It doesn't take a lot of time, and having it set up will just ensure a seamless transition into the country.
Yeah, he just did that here.
They did it.
Another quick tip is to just make sure you set up Alipay and WeChat before you arrive in China.
So basically, what this is, he has a mini program on Alipay, which has a QR code. So you can just hold this there at this scanner, so you can enter the metro everywhere with this.
It doesn't take a lot of time, and having it set up will just ensure a seamless transition.
Easy then. You don't need to buy the tickets.
Out of our whole trip in China, I think one of the things that we both loved the most was the food.
The food is amazing.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Maybe too much.
Honestly, we didn't know a whole lot about real Chinese food. We only knew what we'd had in Chinese restaurants back home, and we weren't sure what to expect. We honestly weren't sure if we were going to like it. We were a little nervous as to what we were going to eat. Were we just going to eat fried rice and noodles the whole time?
Yeah, because also, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Germany, when we think about Chinese food, it's usually like fried noodles, fried rice or so. But there's not, we don't have this kind of big variety like the Chinese food really has.
Our minds were blown and our
that's pork brain. I had this. I'm not a big fan of it.
expanded. Some of our favorite experiences the entire trip were finding all kinds of new favorites and just trying food we had never even heard of before. We even got to go to the largest hot pot restaurant in the world, and if you're interested in seeing that video, you can check out our second channel. It's called Mike and Ashley.
Hot pot, delicious, but also, yeah, be careful. It's very spicy, and sometimes the oil might not be the cleanest oil, so I had many bad experiences as well.
Vlogs, way more low-key. chill, just like hanging out with us, and we put out videos there every once in a while.
Ooh, another experience that I really loved was our dim sum in Guangzhou.
dim sum.
That was amazing. That place was so good.
It was like so fancy and delicious, and it was so amazing.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah, Guangzhou in the southeast of China, they are very famous. Their dim sum is very famous. Basically, just these baskets, and then there are 3 kind of like dumplings in there, or 3 or 4.
Called Tao Tao Ju.
Tao Tao Ju,
Yeah.
that was a really, really good experience.
Anytime we ate dumplings was good.
Yeah.
We love dumplings.
There was so much good food. We have
Dumplings are more a thing of the north, from the north. But yeah, this dim sum is basically also a kind of dumpling.
videos for all of this stuff that we're referencing,
Our
so
Western
if you haven't
mind.
already checked that out, we'll go ahead and leave it linked here and then also below. So
Yeah,
check it out.
and we'll leave the playlist linked at the end of this video, so if you watch to the end, click that and you can follow our entire journey through China. Nanjing Impressions. That was one of the best dining experiences ever, and it was in our last city in China, and it made me very sad.
Ugh.
We just got done editing that video, and just
Nanjing
reliving it.
duck,
Was so
I
good.
think is a
Yeah,
famous
I
dish.
definitely cried a lot in that video. Not because the food was so good, it was very, very good though. I think Nanjing had some of the best food that we had in China, and
Oh,
that's
really?
like a really high accolade because like Mike said, there's not really a bad meal that you're gonna find there. But yeah, Nanjing Impressions was amazing.
So
It was
good.
so good. It was so good and so cheap. I think we paid under $30 for like
Oh, huge.
Yeah, wow. So what do you have here? Yeah, right, it's really cheap. $30 for 2 people, and you get a big meal.
like
It's really
spread
not
of food.
expensive.
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea that I was going to love Chinese food quite as much as I did. We definitely gained a lot of weight, but I think it was worth it. Also, don't be afraid to try the street food. It's not as common as in Southeast Asia, but it does still exist, and you're going to be totally fine. Use common sense. Don't go to places that have flies flying
land
around.
skewers and
Go
beef
places that are
skewers.
busy. The
Yeah.
turnover is quick, and you'll have no problem. We didn't get food poisoning the entire 2 months that we were in China, and I think that's rare for us going to a new
Wow,
country.
that's really rare. I mean, I only had food poison maybe like 2 or 3 times in the more than 10 years I lived here in China. But if I go to some smaller restaurants, some unknown restaurants, sometimes I have some tummy issues. But yeah, it's not food poisoning usually.
I think we've gotten food poisoning in almost every country we've been to, so that says a lot.
Wow,
China
that's
is
rough.
really, really clean. They have high hygiene standards, and I just can't rave enough about the street food. So
It really depends where you
definitely
are.
try it
though.
out.
If you plan on using apps that you're familiar with, like YouTube, Google, Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, you're gonna wanna have a VPN. We actually suggest having multiple VPNs because region to region or day to day, sometimes the VPNs can be restricted or not work quite as well. During our trip to China, we used multiples. We used ExpressVPN, Molvad, Surfshark VPN, NordVPN. Just a whole host of them over the course of the time we were there, and it worked fine. If one
For me, I think Astril is the best. Astril VPN and Let's VPN also quite good. Let's VPN and Astril. I never had any issues with.
one didn't work, we'd switch to another and it would work and we were good to go.
We
Of
do
course, you also can use this eSIM card.
have affiliate links to all of the VPN companies in the description below, except for Molvad. They actually don't have an affiliate program because I think they don't. They want like
They want
word
real,
of mouth referrals.
yeah, they
but-
want real user experience. They don't want you to be sold a VPN by someone who's being paid, which I think is pretty admirable. And I will honestly say that in China, the one that was the most effective was Molvad.
Yeah, so check this out. All of them worked really, really well. Molvad worked the best. China is surprisingly affordable, and we wish somebody had told us this sooner. One of the things that held us back from visiting China for so long is that we thought it was going to be as expensive as other countries in East Asia.
Yeah, I think also in the past years, many countries in the West, they were inflating, right? The currency was inflating. In China, it's more deflating, so things didn't really get so much more expensive.
You're actually really pleasantly surprised how affordable it was. Sometimes the cost of getting between cities can be expensive, but once you're actually in the city itself, it's often really, really affordable. Local food is delicious, and the prices range from super cheap to insanely expensive depending on what you're looking for and what your budget
Yeah.
is. For us, hotel accommodations average between, I think, like $35 to $50 per night.
Which is quite good, actually. Yeah, you can get a nice hotel for 300 renminbi, which is $40 or so.
which we were really, really surprised at. And the quality is like, we had robots delivering food to our rooms
Always
and curtains
fun.
that would open and close like with the press of a button. Like seriously, the most technologically advanced rooms you could imagine for less than $50 a night, which is unheard of.
Yeah, I think everywhere we stayed at any price point, we never spent
yeah,
over
they also have
$50.
these Japanese
and I think
toilets.
the cheapest we spent was like right around 22. And
that's
everywhere
pretty
we
cheap.
stayed, obviously the quality changes, but some of the nicest places we've stayed, for sure. So we've been to China 2 different times now. The first time was when we flew into Beijing and we were on what was called the 144-hour transit fee visa
okay, I remember
exemption program. Now that's been changed to 240 hours, so for US citizens you can get 10 days if you're flying from one country into China and then to another country. And I believe the time that you can do this varies based on the country you're from. The second time, however, we knew that 6 days, 10 days just wasn't going to be enough. So we went ahead and applied for the only tourist visa option available to
Oh, so that video is from 2 months ago. So for American citizens, you don't have the visa-free policy, I guess, because there are many countries now, including Germany and many other countries where you get now a 30-day free visa. So for 30 days you don't need a visa, right? Visa-free policy for 30 days you can travel inside of China. Then you can get out of China and you can come back to travel another 30 days. So that's quite nice.
US citizens, which is a 10-year multiple entry tourist visa. I know that for like the UK and Europe and Australia, there's 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 180-day, 1 year and 2 year options. But yeah, for us in the US, we get 10 years or 10 days. Those are your 2 options.
10 years
And
or
honestly,
10
the
days.
visa application process was daunting at first, but way more straightforward than we expected it to be.
It's lengthy, but it's relatively easy as long as you check off all the boxes.
Yeah. You just need to make sure you have proof of your accommodation, your travel plans, a basic itinerary, and a flight out of the country. We have been told and read online that this isn't necessary anymore. However, for us at the Visa Application Center in Hanoi, Vietnam, our agent did require us to have this, but she was really chill and let us go right on like a blank piece of paper our basic itinerary out for what we were doing. It's kind of like, we'll arrive this day, we plan on exploring culture and seeing some sights and trying delicious food. We will leave on this day, this is where we're staying. And we just repeated that process for each location we were going. We weren't 100% sure what our travel plans were going to be, but the agent actually assured us that as long as we had them booked and could cancel them, that once we were approved for the visa, we could just cancel them.
Yeah, it's quite annoying. Of course, for a visa, you have to show some kind of itinerary and you have to show the bookings of the hotels, right? And then you can cancel them later if you want.
Once again, we used Trip.com for this. We got free cancellation on everything, which allowed us to keep our travel plans flexible once our visa was approved.
Yeah, that was clutch. It would have been stressful if we had had all of our accommodations booked because honestly, like, we ended up staying in places longer than we intended. We left places sooner than we thought we would. And so having that flexibility of being able to cancel without a charge was huge for us and definitely one that we did not take for granted.
Yeah, they just want to have like an overall plan where you, for the cities you intend to visit, but it's like they said, it's not that strict actually.
Or did we take it for granted?
No.
We did not.
We did not take it for granted. We took advantage of it.
We
Wow.
did.
That's good.
If you want to see a full breakdown of how we applied for our Chinese visa application and what the process was like, let us know in the comments and we can do a full video breakdown of kind of what the process looked like.
Final thoughts. What are the
Honestly,
final
we
thoughts?
have really loved our time in China and we are super sad to no longer be there. Unfortunately, the length of stay is capped out at 60 days per visit and we reached that maximum. So if you haven't seen our Nanjing video, that was
60
our
days. That's
last
really a
video
long
from our time in
time.
China, and
Travel.
to say it was an emotional day is an understatement. Lots of really happy memories though. If we can give you any advice, it would be that if you're looking for somewhere off of the tourist trail, or if you're on a bit of a budget, or you just want to go on an epic adventure, definitely consider China. Don't listen to the media, don't listen to your friends and family.
Never listen to the media. No, yeah, but it's really actually, I think it's quite traveler friendly here. People are really nice and welcoming. Like they said, the language barrier can be a little bit tough.
Go explore it for yourself, and I promise you will not regret it.
Yeah, honestly, China has some
Oh, red pandas also here where I live in Chengdu, Sichuan. They have the normal pandas, the big ones, and then there are the red pandas, which are actually really cute. They're like much smaller, but much
Something for
cuter.
everyone. The affordability is top notch and the people are just so welcoming. That's actually something that we didn't mention before, is how we would be perceived as Americans. If you've been following the news, it's no surprise that our governments aren't the best of friends right now. But every single person we met and interacted with welcomed us, made us feel right at home, and honestly, I think just enjoyed watching us experience their culture.
We hope you found this video helpful in some way. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you did find this video helpful, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and it tells the YouTube gods that we're doing the right thing.
I did mention it before, but if you're not familiar, we do have a second channel called Mike and Ashley Vlogs,
Wow.
as opposed to this channel, which is just
Lovely
Mike and
couple.
Ashley.
Yeah, that channel's a little bit more unedited, unfiltered, and it gives you a little bit more of a behind the scenes kind of get to know us vibe. So if you like us and want to get to know us more, that's a great place to go. It is still a very new channel and we haven't been great about posting, so we are going to get better, but we would love to reach 5,000 subscribers. So if you want to help us reach our goal, go ahead and go over
Let's
to
go.
Mike and Ashley
Yeah.
Vlogs, subscribe to the channel, give us a comment, say hi, help us get into the algorithm, and we would appreciate it so much.
That being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we really hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah, so they had some nice insight about China. Right, I cannot stretch it enough. Now the 30-day visa-free policy. Really try to take advantage of that. And yeah, let's meet up in China maybe. Well, I hope you have a great time in China because really people are super friendly. Food is quite affordable. But don't go to all the small restaurants because they might be dirty, even though it's quite delicious. And yeah, third of all, get Alipay and WeChat. You can connect it to your bank account, to your foreign bank account, to your Western credit card account. And then if you have this, you can basically pay everywhere in China and you can have a nice time here.